Also happening today, picketing pilots. A group of FedEx pilots are voicing their continued frustration with their contracts. Our Lakita Johnson is outside of the FedEx Operations Center, where the group will meet to discuss what needs to be changed, and that's in about an hour.
This is now the 13th month that pilots have been working with FedEx Express Corporation leaders on negotiating their contract. Now, the main focus here is to make meaningful improvements. And so there are two areas that they want to focus on.
I have pilots that retire every day. And when they retire, they can't retroactively look at what the next contract says.
Captain Chris Norman says their retirement plan hasn't changed since 1999. And considering all that's happened since then, including the cost of living, he'd like to see some adjustments made.
Since we started these negotiations, I've had 133 pilots that earned something that they'll never see.
Norman also says their quality of life is another item on their list that they are negotiating, especially since FedEx pilots are always working when a major crisis happens that makes demand high and supply low, like the pandemic or the baby formula shortage.
We were flying into places where there was complete lockdowns, where you had a chance of actually being in up to a 3-week quarantine if you were, or it could have been longer. And so the exposure was there constantly for FedEx pilots. And that included when they got home from a trip, they might find themselves still in a quarantine status, so they couldn't even go home to their family.
Tuesday afternoon, the FedEx pilots will partner with the Airline Pilots Association to have an informational picket to express their frustration with the contract negotiations and trying to figure out a resolution. The association is the largest airline pilot union in the world and represents more than 65,000 pilots at the 40 U.S. and Canadian airlines. Norman says their biggest hope is that leaders hear them out.
FedEx has been very profitable during this time where a lot of airlines have not. So we know that we should have an industry-leading contract because, the rest of the industry looks to us.
Norman says this contract is so important because it controls every aspect of their work lives as pilots, including the work rules. We'll stay on top of any outcomes. For now in Memphis, I'm Lakita Johnson.